Alright, well, fuck it. I guess I'm back, because, like, you know, fuck everything. Alright, so, yes, this is another TF2 Weapons Idea video, but I'm not doing a script this time, because that's boring. No one wants a script, obviously. So, I'm just gonna record my voice the way that you're hearing me talk now. Like, I'm not really gonna edit my voice that much. I know my microphone quality is shit. I don't give a fuck. I just want to make videos again, because fuck you, fuck me, fuck life. Let's just get on with this. So, Pyro. Wow, this... so this is obviously going to be pretty bad because the weapons I've created are not in any way original, and they are also... They cater to a specific character from another game who I'm neglecting to mention because I'm sure the mere thought of it is going to send people into a boiling rage. So just you know, hear me out first. But the first weapon on this list is called the Cryomaniac, and yes, that's original, isn't it? So original. God, I'm just such a good fucking... Anyway, so basically the Cryomaniac is an ice thrower, which is not surprising in any way. On primary fire, you can launch a burst of liquid nitrogen in front of you that deals instant damage and applies a 20% slow to enemies hit for 2 seconds. So basically it's like the Dragon's Fury, except, you know, with ice. And if Pyro lands 4 consecutive hits in a row, the enemy is frozen for 2 seconds. Alright, I know. Already this sounds really fucking annoying to fight against, and I get it, but here's the catch. Enemies cannot be frozen for 10 seconds after being affected. So, you know, there is a bit of a catch, like, you know, you can't freeze someone every 4 fucking hits, that would just be stupid. So, yeah, it is a stun mechanic in a first-person shooter. I know, that's a bad idea, but, like, you know, it's ice, so how can I not incorporate freezing in some form? Like, I know the Spicicle does it, but, you know, the enemy dies when they do it, so, like, obviously I know that doesn't count, but it's still freeze, so, you know, I'm gonna go with it. The attack works similar to the Dragon's Fury, like I've already mentioned, but it has the same range, but it also has 25% more attack speed than the Dragon's Fury. So, but it doesn't gain attack speed or extra damage on the hit like the Dragon's Fury does, so it's always the same firing speed and the same damage no matter what. The radius is also slightly larger by about 50%. Oh, I said slightly, didn't I? Whoops. That just goes to show I don't remember the notes I read. So, you know, there you go. Go with that. So, yeah, basically it's like an icy version of the Dragon's Fury that does much less damage, but, you know, has a lot more crowd control. On alt fire, instead of an air blast, you launch a crystallized ball of liquid nitrogen, hear me out, that explodes on contact with obstacles and players. So, it's like... imagine like a Girati projectile. It's basically that. It deals up to 120 damage on direct hits and 50 to 100 on splash damage. Because it's an explosion. It explodes on contact into like a ball of, you know, it's a ball of liquid nitrogen that explodes ice everywhere. Or liquid nitrogen. Whatever, anyway. So the explosion will slow all enemies by 30% for 3 seconds. I know, that also sounds pretty annoying, but, you know, it's not like, you know, Valve are going to nerf the Natasha anytime soon, so I think I can get away with this. Fuck you, heavy mains. Enemies hit by a direct hit are frozen for 2 seconds. Yeah, again, I know, freezing mechanic, but it takes a little bit more skill, I think, because you're launching a projectile and you need to hit a direct hit on them, you know, like as if you're playing Demo Man. So, it's... you know, like, maybe it takes skill, maybe it doesn't, I don't know, just go with it. Anyway, enemies can't be frozen again for 10 seconds after, just the same as the primary fire. The explosion also causes hoarfrost to appear on the ground around the impact zone, blocking player movement, causing slight damage on touch and a 10% slow to any enemy within the vicinity. So that means, basically, it's also like a sort of blockade, like a mini blockade. Like, hoarfrost is sort of, you know, like, if you know what hoarfrost is, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then here's a picture. Basically, hoarfrost is going to block the enemies from walking, and it does damage when you touch it, and it slows you when you're within close proximity to it. Like when you're close to it, you'll take a little bit of a slow. That's basically it. The hoarfrost does not block teammates or Pyro. It doesn't block the user either. So just remember, it only blocks enemies, which also probably sounds a bit broken. It probably should block Pyro too, but you know, when I was making the notes for this fucking weapon, I didn't really think about balance much. Then again, let's get onto the downsides, why don't we? Don't mind me, I'm just dying in the corner. Talking is hard. So yeah, the first downside is a 50% ammo consumption on alt fire, so that means that obviously you can't keep on spamming the crystallized ball all the time because you will eventually run out of ammo. Which and if it's like 200 ammo, and it means that it takes 20 ammo on air blasts or alt fire like it would a normal flamethrower, that means it would be 30 ammo instead. So obviously it's not a huge big difference, but like think about it like in the terms of the degreaser. The degreaser means that you get 2 less air blasts altogether from one clip, because usually you would get 10 since it's 20 per ammo, but then the degreaser makes it 25. So since it's 30 with this one, you would only get about let's see, 13, 90, you would only get 6. So that's that's still pretty detrimental. You only get basically 6 of these per clip. You also get 25% more ammo consumption on primary fire as well, so spamming that burst of liquid nitrogen is not going to be good. Since it has the same ammo mechanic as the Dragon's Fury, as the flamethrower, I mean, it means it would technically, I know it's not a spray, so I suppose 200 ammo would not really be the full thing. It would probably be like the Dragon's Fury has 40 ammo, and it uses 1 burst for, per burst, and it uses 5 per air blast. So I guess that means that if it does 40 ammo, I don't know, would that mean it would do 2 on primary fire? So yeah, I guess technically something like that along those lines. You get the idea. It takes up a lot of ammo. It also has minus 50% fire rate on alt fire, which means that you can't keep spamming the fucking ball of liquid nitrogen every time. So like you not only lose a bunch of ammo for it, but you also, you can't spam it constantly. Like it would take a long time for you to spam it, which also means it takes slightly more skill, because missing it means that it's more punishing. So there you go. It also has minus 25% damage penalty in primary fire. So yeah, just like the Dragon's Fury, unlike the Dragon's Fury, it loses damage rather than gaining damage. So yeah, this thing does not do very much damage at all. It's purely for a crowd control kind of thing. It also has no air blast, obviously, because it's launching a ball of crystallized liquid nitrogen. See, this is probably why I should get a script. So yeah, obviously it won't have an air blast. So I guess we'll talk about the pros and cons. Basically, the pros obviously being the great crowd control that it has. That's the main point of the weapon. It has long range capability, because the ammo, like the projectile it shoots out, is basically like a Girardi jar or Mad Milk. It's kind of like that kind of projectile. So it has a lot more range than any of other Pyro's primaries. And it also rewards skill shots, like I said. It takes skill to use a weapon like this, which probably doesn't make sense considering it stuns enemies, but I don't know, it's TF2, like, does it even fucking matter anymore? Okay, so I guess the cons would be the low damage output, definitely low damage. No air blast, obviously, which is a massive thing for Pyro, because he needs to be able to reflect projectiles and stuff, and extinguish teammates, all that stuff. And it also takes up a lot more ammo, so you've got to be careful with the way you use this thing, because otherwise you're just going to punish yourself greatly. But, the crowd control is a great thing, it's good for setting up kills for your team and all that stuff, so, a sniper would probably do pretty well with this kind of guy. Alright, so let's talk about the secondary weapon, let's just get on with it. Basically, it's called the Winter's Wrath, because, I make original names because I'm an original content creator. And, it goes with the set, all 3 of these weapons in this list are going to be ice-based, so they all go with the set. Basically, the secondary weapon is sort of like it's like cryomancy, like how in RPG games you get mages that can use spells and stuff. Basically, this is what Pyro is doing. He's literally able to use magic, like ice magic, which is probably not very, obviously I know that doesn't make any fucking sense, but we've got spells in the game already, so I don't think anything makes sense in this damn game anyway, so I think we can get away with pretty much anything. So basically, on primary fire, you launch an icy projectile that travels with the same speed and trajectory as a rocket, so just like a soldier rocket. But upon contact with an enemy obstacle, the projectile causes a small explosion, so basically it is a rocket, but it deals 40 to 90 damage on splash damage, and it slows enemies by 25% for 2.5 seconds, so just like the Cryomancer, the Cryomaniac, it has, crowd control. Direct hits deal up to 110 damage, so it's actually slightly stronger than a rocket, but this attack only has 5 charges, and each charge recharges in 5 seconds, so basically it has 5 ammo, but you can't regain ammo through ammo packs. You can get it from resupply obviously, but you can't get ammo from ammo packs and dispensers and that. You have to wait for the ammo to come back to recharge, similar to like Scout's consumable, the guillotine. That thing has a short recharge time, you can't use it unless you go to a resupply cabinet, that sort of thing. So yeah, but it has 5 charges. Like you can use it 5 times in a row, or you can, like, you know, save the charges for each little thing, you know, here and there. But you know, you can't get ammo back for the primary fire. That's one thing to note. But yeah, it's basically Pyro shooting out an icy rocket. So that's, you know, what you can. I'm sure you can make your own images in your head for that. On the secondary fire, you charge up for 1.5 seconds and then unleash a blast of icy wind in a line in front of you. It deals low damage over time and slows enemies for the duration of the blast, up to 5 seconds depending on how many charges you have, 1 second per charge. So yeah, basically he just, like, you know, he charges up for like almost 2 seconds and then just blasts out ice in front of him. And yeah, it doesn't do very much damage, but it slows enemies in the entire blast, and it slows them for, you know, and the duration of the blast, like, you know, for how long he casts it is dependent on the amount of charges you have on your primary fire. So 5 charges gives you 5 seconds, whereas only, you know, 1 charge would give you 1. You get a second per charge basically. Enemies that take damage for 3 seconds are frozen for 2 seconds and cannot be frozen again for 10 seconds after, just like the first weapon. So yeah, if you have more than 3 charges, or if you have 3 or more charges, then you can freeze enemies if they stay within your icy blast for too long. I should probably point out, you can aim the blast while you're, you know, using it, but you slow down like really bad. Like, you know, Pyro slows down while he's casting it, and it takes a second to, like, you know, fully come out. So it's basically kind of like a minigun. You know, think of it like a minigun basically. Except, you know, it slows enemies even more than Natasha, and it freezes them if they take damage for 3 seconds. So yeah, it's like a better Natasha. Still annoying though. So on reload, Pyro can create a wall of ice that blocks. I know, fucking, just calm the fuck down. Yeah, all right. Let me get through this. All right. Okay. So Pyro, he creates a wall of ice that blocks enemy players and the user. So this is the one thing that can block Pyro. Pyro can use this to gain height as well, just like shut up. He can use it to gain height, just like May. Fucking hell, I just said her name on my fucking channel. What is wrong with me? And he can use it to block enemy damage. So basically, it's a fucking wall. The ice wall has 300 health and does not block payload carts or anything with projectile or bullet penetration. So that means the Machina can't, you know, it can still go through it. So obviously it won't block objectives, it won't block Machina. Anything that goes through things, it won't block. This takes up 2 charges of your primary fire and has a 15-second cooldown, so it takes 15 seconds to recharge, and you have to make sure you have at least 2 of your ammo in reserve, so, you know, be conservative with your primary fire. However, charges can be regained when the user hits an enemy directly with the primary fire, 1 charge per hit. So this means that when you do get direct hits on the primary fire, you don't lose a charge basically. So you get a free hit basically. But the attack is, you know, because like I said, it doesn't do a huge amount of damage on alt fire, and obviously the ice wall wouldn't do any damage. But the primary fire does the most damage. Like, effectively, you could say this is a new primary weapon for Pyro, whereas the Cryomaniac could be a secondary weapon. So, like, his flamethrower, or ice thrower in this case, would actually, you know, even though it's counted as a primary weapon, you use it as a secondary weapon. Kind of like how you would use the flare gun as your primary source of damage, and the degreaser is like your utility secondary weapon that, you know, increases your switch speed. It's a similar concept with the Cryomaniac and the Winter's Wrath. You can switch the two, you know, concepts around. But, okay, so let's get on with the downsides before y'all keep shouting at me. Basically, it has minus 25% fire rate on primary fire, so obviously you can't spam the things too much, and it does take more skill to land the direct hits. And you do 50% more self-damage to yourself, because remember, the primary fire is an explosion, so you will hurt yourself if you hit the floor or anything like that. You can sort of rocket jump with it. Like, it's a bit weird, because it's like, I guess in a way it's like the detonator, except you can't obviously detonate the projectile, so you have to hit the ground or a wall or something to jump. So it's kind of like the detonator, basically. Okay, so let's get on with the the pros, whatever. It has great range capability. Obviously, it's a rocket launcher. It's literally a rocket launcher for Pyro. It has extra explosive options. It's a rocket launcher. It has great crowd control, lots of slowing and freezing, because that's fair and balanced. So let's get on with the cons. Low DPS. Yeah, that's obvious. Like, this thing should not be able to do a stupid amount of damage. I mean, I know the primary fire does a lot of damage, like a rocket launcher, but like, shut up. It has limited uses, provided that you miss your shots, and it's risky to use in close combat because obviously you do more damage to yourself, and the ice blast slows you down. So if enemies get too close to you when they're, you know, doing a lot of damage to you, you're going to be vulnerable. So like while you're doing the alt fire, you are vulnerable, just like heavy is. And you know, if you miss your ice wall, like you block yourself off in the wrong position, you can hurt yourself. You know, block yourself in with a soldier, you're fucked. So that's the secondary weapon. It's literally ice magic for Pyro. There you go. Alright, melee weapon. Let's get this over with. I call it the Glacial Greatsword. Jesus Christ, though, can you imagine Pyro just running at you with a fucking massive sword? That'd be fucking terrifying. Don't run into that in a dark alley. Alright, so this weapon functions the same as a sword as the sword weapons for demo, and it has the same increased melee range and deploy holster penalties. Basically, it's a sword like demos but for Pyro. So whenever the user kills an enemy with this weapon, they cause a Hoarfrost explosion that deals up to 80 damage to nearby enemies and will freeze them for a second. The same frozen penalty applies, you can't be frozen again for 10 seconds afterwards. So basically, it's similar to the Islander where you gain a bonus on kill, except instead of gaining like permanent health and damage, because obviously that's fair and balanced, isn't it? Permanent health and movement speed, sorry. You basically cause a little explosion of Hoarfrost. So it's the same Hoarfrost from the primary weapon, but it deals damage and it also freezes enemies when they get hit by it. And it also deals 50% more bonus damage against frozen enemies. So if enemies are already frozen by, say, the Cryomaniac or the Winter's Wrath, the explosion damage, the sword damage, the melee weapon does more damage. Like it hurts you if you freeze people. I mean, it hurts them if they're frozen. Sorry. So upon killing a frozen enemy, Pyro gains a stack of Cryo Energy. So Cryo Energy is a permanent stack that provides increased charges for the Winter's Wrath, and gives Pyro increased health, 15 per stack, up to 5 stacks. So this is the part where this whole set synergizes with itself. The sword and the Winter's Wrath, the Cryomancy, are basically the primary damage outputs for Pyro. The sword is basically his most damaging weapon in this weapon. This is what enhances Pyro's melee power, because the one problem with Pyro is that his melee weapons are fucking garbage and that you only use them for utility. So I'm trying to change that with these weapons. I want to make it so that his melee weapon is actually his best weapon and his flamethrower is like a utility weapon that he uses for situations. And of course his secondary weapon is still a good primary range damage dealer. So that's the whole purpose of this loadout, to change Pyro's loadout to make it so that his melee weapon is viable. So there you go. So yeah, increased health per stack of the Cryo Energy, and yes, it increases the charges of the Winter's Wrath, so you get 1 per stack, and you get 5 stacks. Just like the Islander would give you 4 stacks maximum, this gives you 5 stacks. And of course, all 5 stacks means you get 10 ammo on the Winter's Wrath instead of 5, so that makes the Winter's Wrath even more broken. Fuck me, what was I thinking? Also, when the sword is active, you have 20% increased movement speed, because obviously Pyro needs to be able to move around while he's attacking people in melee fucking range, because, like, God, can you imagine chasing a fucking scout or a fucking demo man charging? No thanks. Right. Upon ult fire, Pyro does a charging stab attack. Okay. Can you just let me talk, please? Right, so Pyro does a charging stab attack that dashes him forward very quickly, and if he hits an enemy with the tip of the sword, they are immediately frozen for 3 seconds and take up to 100 damage. Yeah, okay. Basically, it's a demo charge. Except instead of him like charging constantly and you can turn the charge while you're charging, you just go straight ahead, like in a dash. It's like a quick stab dash, basically. This attack has a 20-second cooldown. Obviously, it would be stupid if you could do it constantly. And if he does this to a frozen enemy, like if someone's already frozen when he hits them, they shatter into pieces and will always die. Okay, hear me out. Unless they are affected by Ubercharge or other types of damage and immunity. Ubercharge removes all freeze effects, I forgot to mention that part earlier, and it includes Quick Fix but not Vaccinator or crits. So Vaccinator and crits can't block the freezing, but the Quick Fix and the normal Medigun, they can block the freezing. So he can't freeze Quick Fix Uber and normal Uber. So yeah, okay, I know this weapon insta-kills someone, right, but give me a second. The dash attack is meant to take skill. It's meant to be a skillful dash, because Pyro, when he does it, he kind of like, he takes a second to charge before he goes forward, and then when he does go forward, he goes forward very quickly but in a straight line, so you can't move while you're charging, so you have to predict where the enemy is going. Obviously if they're frozen, that you won't need to predict them clearly, because fucking balance, am I right? But like, think about it, like the freeze doesn't last for a huge amount of time, so you got to time that sword swing very perfectly. And of course it does suffer from the same holster penalty and deploy penalty, which means that it takes a second for the whole thing to come out before you can do the dash attack, so there's a chance the enemy could lose their freeze effect if they're if you can't do your attack quick enough. Plus the dash doesn't have a huge amount of range. Like if you freeze someone from a distance, you're not going to be able to hit them with the sword. But if if you freeze someone in melee range because they're stupid enough to get close to a Pyro, then they deserve to die. So that's basically my whole idea with this fucking weapon. So plus 50% fire damage vulnerability is one of the main downsides. Yeah, okay. So this is the big kicker. This is the kicker to this weapon, to this loadout. Pyro now actually becomes vulnerable to fire damage. He takes 50% more fire damage, and he can now be affected by Afterburn, and he takes 25% more damage from Afterburn. Obviously, that makes fucking sense. It's literally a bunch of ice weapons. Like, fire would melt the shit. So it makes sense that he's weaker to fire with this fucking loadout, because, like, why wouldn't he be? And also you gain minus 50% overheal and healing rate, because the sword is, you know, it literally gives you more health and it movement speed and damage. Like, you know, it would be broken if you could pocket this kind of pyro. So no, so 50% less overheal and healing rate is kind of important. This also means health packs, well, this counts health packs. I should mention that too. You can't gain as much health from health packs either. So if you want to gain as much of your health back as possible, you need to go to a resupply cabinet, or, you know, go to a dispenser for a little while, or, you know, get a medic using the quick fix. So, alright, let's get into the pros. So it has great survivability and mobility, gives Pyro a lot more tankiness and a lot more movement, you know, always okay for Pyro. He doesn't need it, but it's helpful, because, you know, Pyro is kind of a weird class in general. He does insane damage and kill potential. That is true. This weapon does have insane damage and kill potential. This is basically your primary damage output. This weapon in this loadout would be the main source of damage, Winter's Wrath being the second part. And it has good melee combat potential. That's the whole point of this. I wanted to make Pyro good at melee combat, so I think this weapon would actually be pretty crazy in medieval mode. Oh, that's the point. The Winter's Wrath can be used in medieval mode, which sounds broken because obviously, you know, ranged attacks are already stupid enough. But, you know, it makes sense. It's cryomancy. It's magic. It's not a technological weapon. It's magic. So I think medieval weapon like that would be allowed. So the cons: vulnerable to other pyros that are not using the other ice-based weapons. Obviously, yeah, any other pyro that's using this loadout, you know, you don't have to worry about. But yeah, if a pyro is using an actual fire-based weapon, so if he's using a flamethrower because he's a pyro and not a cryo, because that just sounds stupid, then, you know, you're gonna have a hard time against him. You also gain less healing, so that's the main point. You know, you got to be careful because you're not going to be quite as survivable as you think. You're good at surviving on your own, but you're not good at surviving with your teammates. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of this. Your medics aren't going to be able to help you very much. Your engineers are going to have a hard time keeping you alive, and health packs aren't going to do very much either. And it's also very slow to deploy, and the dash is very hard to land because, you know, that's the whole point. The dash is meant to be hard to land. It's supposed to be a skillful dash, not like a charge like demos where he just like turns at you and fucking one-shots you, because that's not skill. This dash needs to be skill-based. It needs to be, you know, hard to land but rewarding to hit. Very rewarding. You know, that's why it's an instant kill. So that's basically it. This whole loadout is just ice-based stuff for Pyro. Like, I've always wanted an ice-based loadout for Pyro. Like, I love the Spicicle on Spy because it's so different. It's ice. Like, he's the only character in the game that has an ice-based weapon, and you know me, I love ice-based shit because I'm fucking like crazy about it. I get fucking bonus when I think about ice. But like, no, the whole point of this was to give Pyro something different. You know, something that would change up his entire playstyle and also change the way he works and change the way that he is. Like I just said. So Pyro should be allowed to have something different, because right now all that Pyro seems to be is just, you know, you walk at someone, they die, or you combo someone, they die, or, you know, you die, because that's all Pyro is right now. He's just so fucking stupid and broken. So someone needs to give him a new way of playing. I think this loadout, as unbalanced as it sounds and annoying as it sounds to fight, could actually be quite balancing. Like, it could be quite fun because it gives Pyro something skill based, and it gives him, you know, something different, a new playstyle, and, you know, lots of different new stats in here and there. So I just think it would be cool. Like, you know, excuse the pun, but I think this loadout would be really, really cool on Pyro. And I know people are not going to say, people are already mentioning in the comments, you're furiously typing on your fucking keyboards that this is a May ripoff. Just shut up. I don't play Overwatch anymore. Just shut up. I don't give a fuck if this isn't original. I want this to be a thing. That's it. I'm just giving my ideas out there into the world because I'm fucking bored. So just go with it. I'm sorry this video sounds so aggressive and very, very low quality, but right now I'm just making a video because I want to keep my YouTube channel going, but I don't have any like motivations to do it, and my setup is still shit. Like, this microphone is not helping. So I'm trying my fucking best here. I want to keep this channel going, but I'm losing the motivation because I don't have anything to do, and the setup that I've got is really, really making it difficult. But I'm going to keep going. I want to keep persevering because I have a magic 8 ball and it told me to keep doing this. No, but like, for reals, I should really get back into this. I'm thinking about making more videos with Smite, like I said in my other videos long fucking years ago. But like, I know that didn't actually happen because, again, I lose the motivation. But, you know, the point is, I want my channel to be focused on 2 games, TF2, Smite. That's it. That's my channel. If you like TF2 and you like Smite, come to see my channel. I don't do Fortnite anymore. I don't do Overwatch. I don't do fucking Paragon anymore because that game's dead now. Because, like, you know, Epic Games are the best fucking game company out there. Fucking kill them. I'm just here to do Smite and TF2. I could do other things every now and then, like a few little bits here and there, but I highly doubt it. I purely want to focus on Smite and TF2. Smite mainly, actually, because TF2 is, as much as I love TF2, I don't play it nearly as often as I do Smite. So hopefully in the future I might drift off into more Smite content, and then, you know, I'll still keep the TF2 content going, obviously, but you just expect more Smite stuff, because that's me. I like Smite. It's my favorite game right now, so I'm just going to play that. Alright, so I guess thanks for watching my fucking video. Like, thanks for watching this shit. I don't know why you clicked on this video, because honestly it's just me swearing a lot and telling you some bullshit ideas. But like I said, I didn't want to have a script for this video because I'm too lazy and bored to make a fucking script. I just want to get this video over and done with. Editing might not be nearly as good either, but what's new, am I right? So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you humans later. Peace out, I think. That's what YouTubers say, isn't it? I don't know. Fuck off, I don't care.